my nigga Ryan Clark. When I say nasty, when I say nasty individual, Ryan Clark is right on up there with one of those ones. He defended Sha'Carri Richardson to the lengths that I never seen before. And where he said that there were necessary double standards when it comes to physical abuse, male versus woman. He said largely, for the most part, women defend black men and black culture more than anybody. And in my opinion, he did a lot of moonwalking instead of accountability, like firm accountability. That's what's necessary when we have a situation to the likes of domestic violence like we've seen. I wanted to read this tweet that Oloremi he made. It spoke to Ryan Clark's mindset and why he spoke this way. He said, oh no, not Oloremi. There was another one. Where's the other tweet, Jonay, that was sent? Oh, Kenya. Kenya put a tweet in the group chat. Let me get that.
You need to put it in a jumbo?
Oh, here it goes. He said, Trey Escobar, he said, I listened to a podcast that discussed how boys raised in single mother households often view other men through the lens of their mother's perspective on the man who fathered them and left. The idea resonated deeply. It's a pattern that becomes unmistakable once you recognize it. So basically, he was saying Ryan Clark is speaking from the perspective of a woman, right? And through a woman's lens. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of times I see shit on the timeline of niggas who just be doing like the super pandering, and I go to their page and I type in mom or I type in dad just to see what they say about their parents. And 9 times out of 10, it's disparaging against their dad. I do it like all the time. And if you don't believe me, just try it. Just go to a nigga page that's a super panderer and type in dad and look at the shit that he says about his dad. And so with this tweet, I agree. Like, there has to be a level of accountability in all facets. And when we try to minimize it as far as, oh, well, she's a woman and she's small, and it, like, to me, that does a disservice, because not only do I have 2 daughters, but I have a son as well. Right. And so raising my son in an atmosphere in where it's like, hey, you know what? The disrespect, now don't worry about it. There should be a double standard, right? Her weaponizing the police against you once she is in a situation, don't worry about it. There's a double standard. To me, like, that's not the message that I want to send, right? It shouldn't be like overly harsh and crazy, but I do think that there should be a level of equality in these situations that people don't speak about. So I want to get how y'all felt about that shit. Kenya, go ahead, because you put it in the group chat. I appreciate it. Then we got Cortland and Scully and DB.
Yeah, those were, to me, they're two separate conversations. To the domestic violence point, I've always kind of erred on that side of what he said. Now, obviously, no one should hit anyone. It's wrong. It's just wrong. Hard stop, right? But when we look at like injury rates, when we look at like severity of injury, um, it just kind of doesn't match up for the most part. Women are getting, broken bones and shattered whatever and this and that. And they typically there's just more severity to typically, if you look at like man versus woman, when they do have to seek like help, women just need more medical attention due to the injury. So, and then they have the higher rates of, dying, of murder. So there's that. I know that a lot of people, I don't know, I guess in these conversations, we just don't want to say that or talk about that. Or, I mean, we don't want to factor it in. I get why, right? I am a woman. I battle a lot of like internalized misogyny myself. So when I see women with it, it doesn't draw me that much anymore. I'm like, I get it. But obviously no one should hit anybody, but I don't think that there's really anything wrong with saying that there is a different level of severity of injury between those two things. To the next point, I put that in there because like it's a conversation that doesn't happen often and that I think should happen more. And, I know I'm typecasted, I'm super feminist and stuff, but I do think that like Black women just have to, have like a come to Jesus moment. And I don't know where that will lead us at the end of that come to Jesus moment, but like I think that it does have to happen because you hear the children like with their complaints, like as they're coming of age, and Black daughters have their own issues when it comes to their mothers. So it's not to, the sons' issues are just as important. And I think that like all the empathy that you can want to give, I understand, whatever traumas or whatever has happened in your life, but you do still have a responsibility to make yourself healthy so that you can raise healthy kids. And if that's just not happening en masse, then we have to address it. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know, because I just really don't know. I don't know if I just say more abortions. I don't know if I stop having sex. No one said anything about that. More condoms, people fight back against that. Like, I don't know what the solution is for these women and how these kids are coming about and the relationship that they have to the kids in relation to the guy that's there or not there. I just don't know, but it does have to be addressed because I think that the mothers are failing in a lot of sectors. We're failing. And yes, you're doing it alone and you shouldn't be, but it's just not enough excuse because somebody else's life is still at stake. So you don't get to just say that and then that be okay.
Go ahead, Cortland. No, let AK go, and then Cortland, DB and Scully.
Okay, so I only wanted to get up here to speak to the point of domestic violence is never okay. I don't feel like either person should put their hands on each other, regardless of the woman's height, weight, or whatever. If you put your hands on a man, he's sometimes prompted to hit your ass back, and then you be knocked out and want to call like, "Oh my gosh, he hit me," and you have a bigger bruise or you have a black eye, whatever the cause of the effect may be. Don't be putting your hands on no one. That's all I have to say.
Keep your hands to yourself. Go ahead, Cortland, Scully, and then DB. I think that was the same order.
Yeah, man. My problem with Ryan Clark is he does this weird contrarian virtue signaling, and it be a crock of shit. Like he always wants to find himself on the side of like the to want to seem like he's an ally at the wrong fucking times, right? Like he went in RG3 and everybody was on his side, and I think he thinks he's this cape for the black community, like he's this voice for the black community, and it'd be like, bro, you don't always have to be on the other fucking side, right? Like you saying that there should be a double standard because the shit that happened back in the 1940s was terrible, that don't mean that women should be able to put their hands on men either. She literally was pushing and shoving this man and hitting this dude, and you're making it sound like just because she's small, it's okay. That's a problem, right? That's a problem. What you should have done was held her accountable and said, hey man, that's not becoming of a young woman. That's not becoming of a black woman. You should keep your hands to yourself. Instead, you made it seem as if what she did was okay and that men should endure it, which is the same shit that they tell us all the time. If a woman hits you, you should just bow up and take it and walk away. Like that's some bullshit. Because if I guarantee you, if his wife gave him a hot two-piece in the mouth, he not finna walk away. So it'd be contrarian bullshit to be on the other side and seem right and to be in front of the camera and look a certain way to me. Like, and you don't have to do that to keep your brand of your brand. Like you can be, you know what I mean? You can say your feelings and be true and be real about it. And you don't have to be on the other side. But to me, this is just really like Ryan Clark. It's right up Ryan Clark's alley of being a virtue signal, right? And it's other people that buy into this same bullshit. It's women all the time that you hear say shit like, I'm a woman. If I hit you, it don't really hurt that bad. I'm small,
Yeah,
so
I
it
think it's
shouldn't really
crazy.
hurt that bad.
But I wanted to get to more of Kenya's point of how do you feel about the raising of single moms raising men, right? Because I think that was the overarching point. And the outlook of that. I think today we hear more and more about the men these days who aren't up to par. We've got the running joke of niggas used to go to war, but that does speak to how men were raised and the household dynamic. How do you feel about that?
I mean, that can go either way because you got on one end, You got men who defend women to the ends of the earth that was raised by single women, single mothers, right? And on the other end, you got the overly emotional dude who still beat on women, right? Who was raised by a mother, a single mother. So that be on both sides. To me, I don't think this is a single mother raising a son issue, right? Because you got people that was raised by both parents and had a father in their life that still think like this nigga. So that I don't think this is as much of a single mother issue as it is a nigga virtue signaling and sending the wrong message to women and young women and young men that it's okay for a young woman to put or a woman to put her hands on a young man and he shouldn't feel the need to defend himself, right? And if a man puts his hands on a woman, he's a demon and he deserves to go under the jail. It's the wrong message.
Go ahead, Scully, and then DB and Jonay.
Stop giving these young men with CTE podcast microphones. I beg of you. These young men with CTE cannot talk on a microphone on a regular basis because you get dumb shit like this. Now, I kind of think he's using this a little bit as performative. I also believe he didn't watch the body cam footage. I think he just watched the footage from TSA and then he jumped behind the mic and said, yo, you shouldn't do nothing because she's a woman. She can't hurt you. And to Kenya's point, that is some shit that a man that was raised by a single mother would say. She's just a woman. She can't hurt you. So turn the other cheek. No, fam, whether I got hurt or not, that's still domestic violence. We're not going to say, hey, my domestic violence is worse than yours because I got a broken jaw or I got a broken orbital bone. Abuse is abuse is abuse. Point blank and period. And Shorty was wrong for that, and he was stupid for getting behind the microphone and saying, yo, but double standards. No, double standards my ass, bro. That's wrong. She put hands on that man, and to take it a step further, when the cops came, she's talking like Ryan Clark. But there's a man right there. Why aren't you arresting him? Because he's the victim. That's why they're not arresting him. Like he bugged out. She's bugged out. He lives in a crazy world of delusion. I think his bell's still rung from some of them hits he was laying on niggas back in Pittsburgh. Like somebody needs to sit down with Ryan Clark and have that real tough conversation that you're pandering too much and you look like a dickhead in front of people, in front of public. You're actively choosing to look like a dickhead in front of people.
And yeah, that's why that was kind of what I was speaking towards in the Uber situation, because her excuse was nothing but he's a man, I'm a woman, why are you arresting me? It was nothing else besides just gender, right? And so
Which,
when we have situations in where gender is continually pointed out in whatever way that you view it, whether you view it as positive for a woman or negative towards a man, there are these conversations that happen in real life and where she understands that I can weaponize being a woman and it should work just because I'm a woman and that's a nigga. Right. And so I think that was the conversation that I was trying to have for the Uber. But go ahead, Cortland, and then we got Jonay. I mean,
It's
not
me.
Cortland,
It's
but
me.
DB and Jonay.
Hey.
It's
Hey,
DB
so
first.
look, this is I don't know where y'all getting at his daddy went in his life. Michael Clark. He did plenty of interviews about his pop. Needless to say, I don't get that whole conversation about the parenting shit. Fuck all that. Ryan Clark is just a Disney nigga. He's a Disney employee, got Emmys and shit at his belt. Guys, look, if you know, you know at this point. Um, at the on the other end, pandering. I don't even want to call it pandering. I just think this is just him at this point in his life, given who the fuck his employer is, and he do that with all this shit, football and life shit he get to talking about. Sometimes I just can't stop and listen to the nigga. I be like, all right, cuz I gotta cut this nigga off. Fuck with Ryan. A good brother, what he stand for and all that shit, cool. But sometimes it'll be like, nigga, you a little out of touch with some shit. The bitch was totally out of line. Sha'Carri Richardson. Again, women know who to try to pull that shit with. I personally believe from my personal 38 years of being on this earth, from sea to shining sea, I've never been challenged by a woman. So thank God. Maybe I just got a great picker or something like that. I don't know. But what I will say, Shorty was out of pocket. The whole that video when we saw what she was saying, and she was trying to get this nigga locked up so motherfucking bad. It was crazy to see that. And yeah, the Christian Coleman nigga is a better nigga than me, I'll say, because I kid you not, it just couldn't have been me in that situation, that scenario. Again, I don't play games with women that raise their hands at me. Because if you raise your hand at me, I'm gonna treat your ass like you a nigga that's trying to go in my pocket and take my money. So again, T, stay on. But Ryan Clark, he just a Disney nigga, Disney employee, and that's where he's speaking from, and just where I see it as. But his father was in his life. I don't know where that shit
Go
came
ahead,
from. He
Jonay.
was talking about.
Okay. Um, so to kind of focus on the point of what you brought this up for was about, do you see the difference in men that are raised with single mothers versus not in terms of their rhetoric or their communication? I think that is a fair thing. Um, I think it's on both sides. I think there's sometimes men that are raised with single mothers that hold a lot more resentment towards women. And so you'll see it on both the dad and the mom. They might placate and act like they have these close bonds with their mothers, but you know, we see how sometimes the single mothers do have a lot of control and they've done certain things to try to do the best they can, and then they end up having resentment towards their mom that shows up in their relationships with women. I think that is a fair conversation to start. I think it's also with women who are raised by single mothers. Sometimes they also will maybe have difficult times making friends with other women, or maybe they'll even have difficult times really seeing men. You know what I'm saying? I do think like more single moms, because I know that is I know we want to get on a different, on a different page, but the topic of single moms and how they shape and mold male identity, I think, is a fair thing to bring up. It may not be applicable to Ryan Clark. I think someone just kind of heard what Ryan Clark was saying and just used him as an example of what they think this represents. And I think that that's fair. Again, Rashad, I still don't know how that correlates to the first topic, because it's kind of, again, two different types of things. Cause I don't know if this is necessarily a double standard thing. I think this is, like you said, how certain people develop their perspective either on men or women based off of how they were raised. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. First off, the Sha'Carri thing needs to be I think the Sha'Carri thing is much like I use the example of Uber. Some things are not the hill to die on, right? And the Sha'Carri thing, because maybe Ryan is used to, oh, we got to give women grace. We got to give women grace because of maybe his relationships privately. I think is dumb, because you need accountability. Like Sha'Carri needs somebody, man or female, in her corner in her team to say, bitch, what is you doing? She should have had somebody on her team to stop her from doing that video where she's smirking halfway through. Like
Boy,
that was a mess. Like and it's not even just the
whew,
video. It is even her response was a mess. She
I don't
needs some
believe shit
help.
she say.
I didn't believe her either. So I think, yeah, she needs some people, and we don't need people coming out like Ryan Clark mincing words trying to, oh, we need to understand what she got going on. It's not okay. And and this whole double standard for domestic violence point he's trying to make is highlighting something that's like an obvious, but it just because it's an obvious doesn't make it right. Like the brute force of a man and a woman is two different things, but there's plenty of women that go upside a nigga head with an object that then equalizes the playing field. You get what I'm saying? So when a girl got a gun or she got an object, that's the equalizer. You get what I'm saying? So getting hit upside the head with a bat via a man or woman, you're still cracking heads. So I don't know. I think there's a couple of things about this that I think Ryan should have just shut up. Cause Sha'Carri needed zero bail. I don't think she needed bail at all.
Yeah, I think Ryan Clark is starting to play this role more and more of like the community protector.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
been going on for the
This
last
is
4 years,
this
bro.
is has been like his stance on literally everything that has to deal with black
Really,
women.
since the pivot came out,
Um
ever since the pivot.
yeah, this has been his stance like no matter what,
Yeah. And some things we
situation
don't need
happens.
coddling. We agreed on that yesterday, Rashad. Like, right? Like with mothers going to the school to pick up their kids. Like some stuff can just be said very strongly and directly, and we don't need more coddling for bad behavior. And Sha'Carri is the one. Like we already coddled her about that weed shit. We
I don't
all
like
knew
her
she shouldn't have been.
attitude,
We all
Janae.
knew. Yeah, I'm with you, girl. Like
I don't like her
Y'all seen the
attitude.
attitude
the
in
girl,
that
she should
video?
I
not
don't
like,
like her
That was
attitude.
Hold on,
no
disgusting,
one mic,
man.
matter,
one mic.
no matter
Go
how
ahead,
much
Janae.
no, and I'll let you go ahead. Okay. But even with the whole situation with the weed, girl, you know you ain't supposed to be smoking no damn weed internationally, and because not even just the Olympics, internationally. This how it's like, damn, like that's not the time nor the place to get zooted real quick because you're going through something. You over in another country and you don't know what their laws are when it comes to weed. You can get some weed and fuck
That's
around and be
ignorant,
in
though.
Dubai and get fucked up for real, and can't nobody get you out. And so it's like it is
Yeah, she's
ignorance.
just ignorant.
It's ignorance, but then she also wanted a pass. You see, you get what I'm saying? So it's like ignorance with a pass is what we've been giving her already because we care about her story. But no, we need accountability. We need to do better. And
But the
but go
piggy,
ahead, AK.
yes, Janae, piggybacking off of what you said, I feel like we've coddled her and then it's grown a sense of entitlement. And then her attitude is just ridiculous. Like I don't follow I didn't watch the video of her getting locked up. I can't really speak to the point. I don't follow anything she does because of her attitude. I'm not a fan. I'm proud that she's, one of the fastest runners. I used to look up to her for that. I admire that because I too love track and field and I was a runner. I made it to my regions and where I went. So I that's something that I admired from her. But once I seen her attitude, it's just like the inside of you, you have to heal, baby girl. Do the work on yourself, take accountability for your actions and be a better individual because your actions and your impulses made you put your hands on on a man. And what if he would have just knocked you clean the fuck out? You know what I mean? Like, and it just could have went totally left more than what it did. And she's not taking accountability. And I don't know who this Ryan Clark guy is. I don't follow him in anything, but domestic violence is never okay. And her attitude needs to be adjusted.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to the single mom topic because I do think that that's interesting. Because they,
Where is that coming
there's
from,
a
if you don't
lot
mind me
of
asking?
The
it's
Uh,
comment. It's a
it
comment.
doesn't have to necessarily be
it's a
about Ryan Clark.
comment.
It doesn't have to be
Okay.
about Ryan Clark, DB. Just in general, I think we see that a lot, especially in this community. There was an interesting comment that said no other demographic of men do what Ryan Clark does, or like the quote unquote pandering towards their women in the community. Is that a correlation to the fact that there are a lot more single mothers, I'm assuming, in the black community than others, and why there is a need to kind of resonate based on what they've seen and grown up with a single mother, or based on how they were raised? Like what would be the reasoning for that? Because it does, I can see from a perspective on the outside looking in of like, why y'all let y'all women treat y'all like that? Or why do you feel like you have to be this type of person, to women at large, in the community? And where other communities, they don't have that same, I don't know. I don't want to say it's disrespect or respect, but they don't have that same, like, you know what, let me just do anything and everything that, she says, or, I'm a bad person type vibes. They don't have that in their communities. Go ahead, Cortland, and then 10.
Nah, I don't think it's that. I think in other cultures, I mean, women have always kind of been, and not this gonna sound really bad, like second rate citizens, if that makes sense. Like in most other cultures, like women are, for lack of better terms, like you're truly beneath me, right? Whereas for
Hold
Black
on, wait. So is
Americans,
that
most
an
times,
American outlook, or do those
No,
women
that's
in those
that. No,
That's
cultures
a
no,
real
also feel
life
like that?
that's
thing.
real.
That's
no,
real.
that's real. No, that's
Like
real. And I can
so my
speak,
question is by and large, right? Because
Yeah, what's your
obviously,
question?
there are, you can find those women who like, man, fuck this shit, right? But by and large, do you feel like the women in those cultures feel like they are second class citizens?
Yes,
Oh, I can speak for
Yes.
this.
They're
yes.
not prioritized.
Yes.
they're and they know that.
Hold on, DB.
Whoa.
Hold on,
Okay,
DB.
I disagree.
Hold on, wait. They know, hold on. They feel that way. They know that. That's why most of these Muslim countries and things of that nature that you see,
Oh,
they are
no.
fighting against it. But that's not my point. I was getting to the point that in Black America, our women really like stood on the front lines with us, right? Fought with us. So we have a different reverence for them, than other cultures do. So we treat our women different. Now, could it be to the detriment, at times? Maybe. But I think that's what it leads to. It's not so much as being like women driven or matriarchy or anything like that. I don't think that's,
Yeah.
I think that has something to do with it, but I don't think
But
it's
can I
more
add to
like
what you're
that.
saying, Quillen, before? Because I think just the word second class citizen might lose your point, which I agree with. Even if it's not second class, they are not looked at as the leaders of the family. Black Americans have that more often because of what we've experienced. And it does happen, but a woman not necessarily being the lead of the family is not commonplace in a lot of other cultures.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna wake this shit up. I gotta
That's a
jump in
better
my
explanation,
look.
Jonae.
Yeah, I was trying to, because I
These
knew what Corlin was trying to say.
It
we
shouldn't
got
be in our
terrible
culture
women
either.
in America. We got terrible ass women in America that was taught terrible things. You deal with women from different places in the world. They could be already here, right? If you deal with it from different places, it's a different. It's just different all around. Their aura, their mindsets, or whatever it is a bit. They're better women. I'm gonna wake this shit up. They're better women. They're taught to be better women. A lot of ways. Yeah, yeah. And you got these bitches out here that think they can just
And the
try and
men better
test
too.
niggas and say it again.
Oh, you forgot that part. Okay.
I didn't hear you.
Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
Ah, Jode, stop it.
I didn't hear her.
No, I'm saying if they're better women, then that means that they're better men.
Go find a
No,
Winston
I
then,
don't know,
Jode.
but
Fuck it.
yeah,
Go find Winston.
I'm
No, I
just
already
speaking
got
from my
mine.
personal
Look, I'm
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
But I'm just
Baby
saying
girl,
that.
you ain't
I'm
even been in a
speaking from
relationship
Hold
that
on,
real-life
wait.
long. Chill.
experiences.
Hold on, wait.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
speaking from real-life experiences and conversations and or dealings with these. Well, I ain't talking about, look, to each their own. But at the end of the day, I think that's just it. The teaching and what these women are, and men allow these women to do these things. Y'all don't be checking, niggas don't be checking shit in advance or whatever. But again, to each their own. I just know me.
Nah, too many of y'all want, never mind.
Go
That's
ahead,
let's talk about
10,
somewhere else.
and then Kenya.
To answer your question, yes, this behavior, and it's just not black women, it's just women in general. The statistics show that when you leave your children to be raised by a woman, the outcome is that your child becoming a unfit person of society is largely greater. So, and that
Maladjusted.
now, it has a lot with that with that behavior comes mentality, right? Specifically to black men specifically, we are the only ones with the mentality that we must protect, and I'm talking about all of us, like in general, we must protect our women. What do we want? This is why I say, that's why also, I'm gonna put it back in my bio, pandering must die, because that man sat there and watched that video and then had the mitigated gall to say, black women protect us, after that lady said, no, y'all need to arrest him. What kind of sense does that make? That ain't protection at all. So I want niggas to stop pandering, and I want women to stop letting niggas pander to y'all.
Do they even know what that look
Yeah,
like
cause
though?
his followers went up after that. I ain't gonna lie. Go ahead, Kenya.
I don't even know who that is. Sorry to this man.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, the men like leading the or not being like, the leaders of the home, like when we talk about the single motherhood like rates, I know men say that, or in correlation to men's involvement like with their kids, the men are saying that, the numbers are skewed because they're just not in the home, right? But they're still dealing with the kids. So then you have this disconnect where, yeah, they see their kid, but they're not leading the home that the kid is primarily in or in half the time because they are not there. So they're over there in their own home doing what they're doing, and then she is left to her own devices. And typically then like women start dating, right? Then now there's other men that are coming into the fray, and it's like the children of these situations like have their feelings towards these things. They have thoughts, they have opinions, and it's kind of like it's not being heard, because when we have conversations about what should be done, it's just about the men and the women being happy, and it's about me feeling good, and it's about me enjoying my life, right? And so whatever's happening to the kids on the back end of you making the best decisions for you, it doesn't seem to always be this trickle down to where it's the best decision for the kid. So I don't I don't know like what to do about keeping the men and the women in the home together. But I would think like that's what would need to be addressed to really like fix the issue, because even with your involvement somehow, some way in two different houses or apartments, it's still just not enough.
Yeah, I think that was the reasoning for the question. When it comes to even, if a man is in the house, Jonay said, in other cultures, women aren't looked at as the head of the household. Is that what you said?
It's less likely. It's more like women are the homemakers or having jobs that are less demanding to where they are spending the majority of time, and they are okay with that because they do not have to take on that additional thing. And in the US, like I know it sounds like we always relating it back to slavery, but like we can't discount the history. You get what I'm saying? Because then we say, well, why is it not happening? Well, look at the disadvantage of a lot of the reasons why our fathers and fathers before or uncles and shit ain't in households. It's not just because a bunch of black men don't care about their children. There's a lot of programming and also systemic racism that has had it. And I'm saying like in other countries, there's just been a different, with other cultures. Let me say that specifically. With other cultures, it's been a difference. So you haven't had like the intentional separation of families like it has in our community.
But do you think that with the home dynamic, right? As far as other cultures, women aren't looked at as the head of household. Like I said, I don't feel like they should be looked at
No, they're
as
not.
the head in our culture either, right? And I
That's
think
Yeah, but
that
they've
true.
had to. That's the
I'm
thing.
gonna
No
say
one
yeah, I
this.
wants
think that
to. They've
that's very
had to.
true. That's very true throughout history, right? I think that we are seeing something
Who
different
had
now.
to?
We're seeing something
So
different
at
now,
us,
and where it's not
so
out of necessity as more as it's
right,
out of women are the new niggas. We
right.
the
So
ones who
like,
make more money. We are one that more educated. So it's not like there's a need for you to do that.
right,
There is a situation where this is just what you want to do and how you want to live.
right. But I also, and this is another thing too, like, and I know we love using the men are the more, they have the highest, salaries. Yes, but you also have to understand that the unemployed population also affects men more as well. So like there's a lot of stats that are just used as blanket statements, but they are not used properly every time. So just because men end up with the most or the highest salary do not mean they are the most employed. That just means when they get a job, they are going to have a higher rate of income than a woman because we're in a patriarchal society, right? So I'm saying that to denote that in black communities, let's not act like every black man is this well employed and gainfully employed man, because then that would discount some of the struggles we've seen. There are a lot of issues when it comes to school to prison pipeline, number one. And then if a black man ends up with having something super small in a record or a small felony on a record, the disproportionate ability of them being able to find jobs and keep them is the reason why you do have that. Then, so for example, Rashad, if we all know somebody, whether it's a father, uncle, stepdaddy, anybody that was in jail, like if they're in jail, the woman that's left at the home is now the head of household. So it's something as simple as that, understanding the connection. And if we don't connect those, meaning every man in jail left a home somewhere. So that is why this,
Huh?
hello? I mean, what's confusing about that?
Are you saying that like as a fact? Are
No,
you
I'm
saying like
saying that
every man in jail left?
no, I'm not saying
Oh,
every, but if a man is in jail and he has a family or a woman or a child and he is in jail, what is the woman now? What is the role she's now playing? Head of household. He's not head of household in jail. So that's what I'm saying, that those scenarios when it comes to the black community, that is some of the things that are either experienced and or the mentality of what happened during those times is passed down.